in many places on TV, at different forums, and had you been to the opera when that was happening, you may even recognise the face then. Can we please welcome Dr. Paul Harrison?
Yeah, thank you very much, Karen, and thanks to Fiona and Lauren and everyone at FCA for inviting me. And yes, I did have an opera career, but I don't sing anymore. Maybe. My field of research is consumer behaviour. It incorporates the disciplines of psychology, sociology, anthropology, economics and fashion design. Actually, not fashion design. I made that bit up. One of the great things that's come out of research in human decision making over the past 15 years or so is the realisation that maybe the mind is a little bit more complicated than we first assumed. The general theory of human decision making that's been around for quite a long time was that the brain was a simple calculator or a computer, and that we had conscious capacity or control to manage what goes in, how we think and what we do. But in my field, and hopefully in many of the fields that you are working, our thinking has modified. Our brains take a long time to evolve, and as many of the people we're talking about today, the environment in which our brains are working has changed dramatically, very quickly. Saying is that when we're under pressure or stress, it's the emotional centres of the brain, the amygdala, for those of you playing at home, that take control over what we do, even as the thinking brain, the neocortex, is still analysing and coming to a decision. And that thinking brain requires a huge amount of resources to fire up. So it's actually the emotional brain that makes most of the decisions for us. So more and more psychological and neurological science is discovering that much of our decision making is made at an unconscious and emotional level. And what we're finding in our research and in other research is that when we're thinking about mundane and pretty simple issues, things like small calculations or doing a shopping list, the brain areas associated with rational planning, such as the prefrontal cortex, become more active. But when we think about something that's difficult, an exciting activity, a stressful activity, such as purchasing credit to buy something that we desperately want, or buying ourselves a $10 million lottery ticket, the brain areas associated with emotion become more active. Most of us, it's our emotions that make the decision. There's simply nothing rational about it. Now, I'm not saying it's irrational, perhaps it's better described as irrational. And once we've made that decision, the optimism and the confirmation bias, natural things that exist to protect our ego, kick in. And to some degree, that optimism bias causes many of us to overestimate our degree of control as well as our odds of success, while the confirmation bias leads us to look for evidence to support that particular emotional decision.